This is clip 5. We're in Yudalon of Beis, further down. Mocher Azmo is Nimker the Shesh v'Yeser al Shesh. In other words, if a Machro Bezdin must be Shesh, not more, not less. But the Gemara Mocher Azmo is Nimker for more, and for Shesh and more. And Rashi says, v'Yeser al Shesh, im hisna limacher l'Aser shana. If he stipulated that he was going to sell himself for 10 years, it works. He's sold for 10 years. Now from Rashi it's mashma that Mocher Azmo can only sell himself for more than Shesh. He cannot sell himself for less than Shesh, because even according to the Mandi Amar that says you don't darshan the Gzera Shavah. We have a machlokes Tanoim about whether there's a Gzera Shavah to be used here or not between Mocher Azmo and Machru Bezdin. Now, Machru Bezdin, we know is not more than Shesh. We know that he gives him he has to take a shifcha knanis. He can be forced into taking and living with a shifcha knanis, and then the children are avodim knanim, and they belong to the adam, and he has to leave them there. And they're the property of the adam, just like the shifcha is. He's nirtza, and you can't sell him to a nachri, and you have to give him hanaka, and then he's yaitza begrowing kesef. Now, if you have if you hold of the Gzera Shavah, then we would say that all the dinim, the very same dinim, apply to a Mocher Azmo. Yeah, but now if you don't hold of the Gzera Shavah, so then none of the dinim that apply, that are the limitations of a bezdin that sells the Eved Ivri, applies to a Mocher Azmo. So the first thing that goes by the byway is he can sell himself for longer than Shesh, but there are other things. But there's another. Just want to point out there's another ukimta in the Gemara that says really everybody holds. This is a machlokes in between the Tanakama and the Chachamim. The Chachamim say that a Mocher Azmo has all these different dinim. He doesn't have a din of hanaka. He doesn't get nirtza, but because we understand the first who came to the Gemara is that Tana does not hold of the Gzera Shavah, but we have Abaya, Rabbi Tivyumi, in the name of Abaya, says really everybody learns the Gzera Shavah. Sacher is everybody's Kabbalah that a Mocher Azmo and a Machru Bezdin has a Gzera Shavah, and just that in these matters, in the matter of Yoser Meshesh, in the matter of forcing him to take a shifcha knanis, in the matter of Ritzia, in the matter of Hanaka, there is special psukim that tell us that a Mocher, all these dinim apply only to a Machru Bezdin and not to a Mocher Azmo. The only problem is if you have a Gzera Shavah Sacher, and then you have these other psukim that are Ramayit, so what do you need? What's the point of having a Gzera Shavah? So Rashi's Divrei Maskal Kula Alma Yalef Sacher on Yudalan base says. So what is the point of having the Gzera Shavah? L'shar Mila, for other matters. and it's like, what are the other matters? I mean, these seems to be that this is it. The answer is, I'm going to list you a whole bunch of other matters that are the same no matter what, whether you darshan, you don't darshan sacha sacha, or you darshan sacha sacha and you have other psukim. For example, the whole din of Abedivri is only noig bisman that there's a yovel. Bisman said there's no yovel, so the whole din of Abedivri doesn't noig. Sai Mocher Azmo, Sai Mocher Bezdin. They're both nicknamed by Shtar through Kesef and Shtar, and they both kind of themselves back through Kesef and Shtar, and they're both Yoitz B'Yovel. If Yovel comes in the middle of Shesh, in the middle of the stipulated time period, then it frees the Avid Ivri no matter what, whichever kind it is, whether Machur Bezim or Mocher Azmo. Then his din of growing Kesef. He's both of them are Yaitz B'Growing Kesef, no matter what. Whether you learn the Sacha Sacha, whether you have a psukim, there's no pasuk, it seems. And then there's a lot of krivim are paida. Since you can always buy back, krivim are supposed to come in and redeem the Avid Ivri, and that halach is that's by an Amavriya only, but not by an Avid Ivri, but an Avid Ivri Sai Mocher Azmo, Sai Machru Bezdin. This is the Krevim not Chayiv, and this is no matter whether you hold of the Gzer Shav or not. And then there's also another halach of Goyol Lechatzoyin. You can't, if you want to redeem the Avid Ivri, you got to cough it all up. If you can only come up with some of the money, you can't say, oh, here's some of the money, take this as a down payment, and the Avid Ivri should be free to go, let him go, and he'll bail himself out, he'll pay you the rest. No, you can't. And Goyol L'Chatzoyin is neither Machur Bezin or a Mocher Azmo. The halach is that if the Adam dies, the Avid Ivri has to finish off the years by working for the Yorshim, the Ben, not other Yorshim. This is both true in Mocher Azmo and Mocher Bezdin. And then there's they don't. Avid Kanani is Yotze Barashe Avorim, and Avid Ivri is not. Neither kind of Avid Ivris are not. And you can't sell your Avid Ivri to another Odin. That's it. He works for you, and then he goes free, and that's it. Now, those are I guess Rashi's Shar Mili. Now back to our din. What about selling him? And if the halacha is that a Mocher Azmo can sell himself, he's not stuck, he's not limited by Shesh, and he can sell himself for more than Shesh. Could he sell himself for less than Shesh? So Rashi, we saw from Rashi that Rashi seems to say that you can only stipulate more than Shesh, can't stipulate less than Shesh. But the Ritva clearly says, Divrei Maskell, right here, the Sanya, a Mocher Azmo. Look at that Ritva, he holds that you can sell yourself for less than Shesh. According to the Mandi Amar, that you don't dash in Sacher Sacher. Yeah. Yeah. But back to the Machlekes Rishonim, there is a Ritva that holds that there is the ability Mocher Azmo can sell himself for less than Shesh. But let's get the Rambam first. The Rambam says Mocher Azmo in Perek Beis Halach Yud Gimel. The Rambam says that Mocher Azmo can Yeshle Limkor Azmo LiYesrael Shesh. It sounds again like Rashi, not more, but not less, but more. Now the Ritva. The Ritva is on over here, and the Divrei Maskell is Desanya, Mocher Azmo, that he says often clear that you can sell yourself for less than Shesh. And 2 years, 3 years, right? Now, let's try to understand both Shittas over here. The Ritva is simpler. because once you don't learn out, once you don't have a socha, you don't have a din to learn from Machru Bezdin, so then why is there a limitation of not less than Shesh? Then then all the bets are off, so you should be able to sell yourself for whatever amount you want, or whatever amount that the buyer will buy you for. Why is there a need? Why does Rashi and Rambam hold it that it can't be less than Shesh? Yeah. Now let's clear Chakira. The Machru Bestin, it has to be for Shesh, right? It can't be more, it can't be less, right? The pshat is because Shesh is a Yitzia. If Shesh, in other words, is that a limitation? It can't be more, so therefore it runs out by itself. It's like it would be stipulated for Shesh, or is Shesh a Yitzia, just like I don't know, growing Kesef is a Yitzia, right? No. The problem is, or like Yovel's Yitzia. Yovel comes in the middle of Shesh, Yovel's Mafkia. Freeze him. So now, and so therefore, the reason why you can't sell for more than Shesh is because Shesh comes along and frees him. The problem is, if you learn that it's as if you stipulated Shesh, and that's why you can't sell for less than Shesh by a Machul Bezdin, because it's always a mechira for Shesh. But if the pshat is that you could, the sale is stam and Shesh comes and frees him, so then why can you not sell him for less than Shesh? Why couldn't even Bezdin sell him for less than Shesh? You can't. But why is what's stopping Bezdin from selling less than Shesh? If the reason when you sell him for Shesh is actually you could have sold him for more, but Shesh is a Yitzia, so when you sell him for less, so he sold for less. The answer is there must be a halacha that you can't sell him for less. Why would you not be able to sell him for less? Yeah. There's somewhere without our knowledge, somewhere there's no pasuk for it. You can't sell him for less. Machru Bezdin. Why not? Who knows? No, you can't say that. You have to say that there's a reason, and the reason is we explained in the beginning of these in our first shir that Eved Ivri naturally is not one of the objects that actually contains money. It's not a piece of mummy. So therefore, you should never be able to buy him because he's a free man. Free men don't represent any kind of mammon, so you should never be able to buy an Eved Ivri. All you could do with an you can't ever make a guy an Eved Ivri without the chiddush of the Torah, because all you guy could do is rent him. You could rent this person's services. You could, and certainly if you pay him in advance, he has to work for you. You can't just walk away. A pile, if you don't pay him in advance, he can walk away and he doesn't have to come the next day. But if you pay the guy up in advance, so then he has to work for you, right? Otherwise it's like not taking care of your debts, whatever that isser is. It's not such a clearly. It's like you would think it's geneva, but Tosfos in Chesed Batim says it's not geneva. Rashi in Gittin says that it's l'sigzol. But Tosfos says it's not. It's just that a chsaron of Eved Leiva Ish Malva. But it's not ksela because you didn't really, go into his rishus and take something away. You're just not paying up what you owe. What's the difference? Whatever the case is, without the chiddush of the Torah of Eved Ivri, a person you could rent a person you could hire a person, pay him in advance, and then he has to finish off. But the Torah was mechadish that there's a din Eved Ivri, and as we also presented the Gemara later in Tez Zion, that says Zaysemeres Eved Ivri Gufa Kana, and you have to give him a shtar. It doesn't help to be meichel the debt. You have a kinyan in him, so therefore when you buy an Eved Ivri, not only do you acquire the Eved Ivri, but you also create what you're acquiring. You have to first make Eved Ivri into a cheftza of mammon. So so that you should be able to be kind of him. What we can now say is that according to Rashi and the Rambam, there is no such thing as an entire as an Eved Ivri, a chef that is a chefs of mammon that is less than 6 years. Less than 6 years is not a chefs of mammon. All you are doing is hiring him and leasing his services and paying him in advance. And he's a debt he has to pay. And in those cases, if you did less than Shesh, if you hired a guy for less than Shesh, then you could be Michael. You don't have to give him a star. He's not an Eved Ivri, right? According to Rashi and according to the Rambam. But according to Ritva, there's an Avdus even in less than 6 years. There's an Avdus for I don't know what the lower limit is, but less than 6 years is an Avdus. Okay. Now, so we're going to say that according to Rashi and Rambam, this was the halacha was that Shesh is a Yitziyah, and it was only nischadish by Mocher Azmo. By Mocher Azmo, Shesh is not a Yitziyah. The only Yitziyah you got for a Mocher Azmo is Yovel. So what are you going to? So what's the limit? What's going to free him? Only what you stipulated. If you made it tonight, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, whatever it is, that when that's over, then it's over. Right, but so there is no Yitzhi of Shesh by Mocher Azmo. So, but the reason why you can't do less than Shesh has nothing to do with your stipulation. Your any kind of hidden din pasuk that we're hiding. No, since you know that the Torah made an Eved Ivri Gufi Kani and was mechanish chiddush that there's such a thing as avdus of an Eved Ivri. It's not just a rental. It's avdus, and and once you become an Eved Ivri, you need a star to free him, and you can't just be moichel him. So from there, Rashi and the Rambam hold that from the fact that the Torah says Sheisham Yavoid, you learn that there's no such chiddush on less than 6 years. The Ritva holds there is. Okay. Now, okay, right. Actually, just to introduce, just to give you an added an attraction over here. Rashi, there's a Taisyon of Kasha on Rashi. Rashi in the Mishnah says, it's a different Rashi called Shonim, Bishonim. Is Yotzev Bishonim. Rashi says, L'soif Shei Shonim Yotze Chavshi. At the end of 6 years, he goes out free. In other words, he doesn't know anything. And Taisyon of Kasha, that's Dafka Lamandi Omer, Sacher Sacher. You darshan sacher sacher, but according to Mandi Yom, you don't darshan sacher sacher. Then it's not always sheishanim. Maybe it's not less, but it could be more. So why is Rashi saying that l'soif sheishanim yatzachafshi? It's not always true. So it's not kavua that it's sheishanim, because according to Mandi Yom, that you don't darshan sacher sacher. You can sell yourself for more than sheish. Yeah. But according to the way we're learning, Rashi's reason why you can't sell yourself for less than shesh is because less than shesh is a rental. It's not not this chadish, the chiddush of an Eved Ivri that an Eved Ivri is gufakoni and that Eved Ivri is avdus and then he turns into mammon that you can actually buy. All that was not nischadish if it's less than 6 years of avdus, right? Less than 6 years, there's no avdus. It's only rental, yeah. So then he always. So what Rashi's saying is he's always going to be yotze b'shesh. In other words, he's not. It's not maybe he's going to actually practically in practical terms he's going to be yotze b'shesh, but he has a din of every Eved Ivri has a din of being an Eved Ivri for Shesh only, for a minimum of Shesh. It can't be more than Shesh. It can't be less than Shesh, because then it would only be a rental. It could be more if it's a Mocher Azmo. We're talking about a Mocher Azmo. So even a Mocher Azmo that let's say you stipulated for 10 years, he still has. Rashi means to say that it's negated to him. It applies to him the halacha of Shesh. Now as the avdus that is chal in him for, let's say when you sell yourself for 10 years, is an avdus that whose minimum is Shesh. It's the if there's an avdus of 7 years, it's not a new kind of avdus. It's the same avdus that's there by Shesh. It's the avdus. It's the only avdus that you could. It's only the avdus of Shesh that you can have an avdus in an Eved Ivri. So the avdus of 7 years to 8 years, 9 years, 10 years is the same avdus of Shesh, and every avdus of Shesh naturally on its own, whatever, if you didn't stipulate, would be on a Mocher Azmo he would be released of. It's not the greatest teretz in the world, and you can't be a masna, you can't stipulate less than Shesh. So every avdus that there is the avdus of a Shesh. So the avdus of a Shesh at the end of Shesh normally. Okay, so I mean, there's another teretz over here. It depends on you have to introduce the sheet of the marit, which we will do later in another clip, and so we'll leave it for another day, another dollar. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the Ritva. So according to the Ritva, there's no two dinim. There can be now Shesh is the Yitzia, and there's not another din that you can't, that the only type of the only avdus of Ivri is for Shesh. No such thing. Let's just end this by bringing down the Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish asked the kasha. L'chayra, why would we say if you can sell yourself for more than Shesh, if by Mocher Azmo doesn't have the din of Shesh, how can you should not be able to sell yourself whatever you want. You should be able to sell yourself and then have to wait for Yovel. That's his kasha. You should not be able to stipulate. You should have to wait for the next type of Yitzir, which is Yovel. Now, because if there's no Yitzir of Shesh, then there's only Yitzir of Yovel left. Right? Who says you can stipulate? The answer is this answer is going to be Silot Rashi, Silot the Ritva. The answer is we're learning different than the Chazon Ish. It seems that from this question, we're learning that you, the seller, Bezdin the seller, or the Eved Ivri himself, the seller, creates by selling himself off and the kinyan of Kesef and Shtar. It at the same time that it creates kinyan, it also creates what you should be kind of. It creates, so you do it. It creates this din moment, and therefore you're buying a piece of moment. The Eved Ivri becomes a chepz of moment, so it's not the pshat is that you're doing a kinyan of kesef, and then the Torah dictates that he's sold for 6 years, because then if the Torah creates, if the Torah dictates, if the Torah is piled that he's an Eved for 6 years, so then you don't create it. You don't have the power. You just release your it's a similar. I don't want to introduce. All you do is release the power that the Torah has to make an Eved Ivri. You say if the Eved Ivri is maskim, or if he was a ganefin and he doesn't have what to pay, and he has to be forced into a sale, right? So then the din of Eved Ivri is applied. So who creates the din of Eved Ivri? The Torah. So if that's the case, so the Chazon Ish said, all you saw, I mean, why should you be able to, if you can sell yourself for more than Shesh, all you ever saw was that you could buy Mocher Bezdin, all you saw that the Torah applies a din for Shesh Shonim, a din of Eved Ivri to make it Shesh Shonim. And then there's no, if by Mocher Azmo there's no din of Shesh Shonim, then the next limitation should be Ivri. So then it's a kasha. But according to us, that it's the sale, it's the Eved and the Odin that get together, make a kinyan kesef, to make a kinyan star, to create an Eved Ivri, to create a chetz of woman of Eved Ivri, and then be kind to him. So then if there's a yitzia of Shesh, it's a yitzia of Shesh, just like Yovel, you can't buy more than Yovel. You can't bind for longer than Yovel. So then you can't bind for longer than Shesh normally without making a Ritziyah, right? But if Mocher Azmo doesn't have a din of Yitziyah of Shesh, so then you're creating an Eved Ivri, and you're making it go for whatever you want, 10 years, 12 years, more than Shesh. Shesh is not a Yitziyah by Mocher Azmo. That's because you're creating the Eved Ivri. And so Mela, you stipulate your masna whatever, how long you want. If taka, all you do is let the Torah create the Eved Ivri. So you only heard that the Torah creates an Eved Ivri until Shesh, and then until Yovel. So then how do you know that the Torah is going to create an Eved Ivri for 10 years? That's the Chazon Ish's kasha. But we're learning different. We're learning that it's the Eved and it's the Odin that are creating the Eved Ivri. And if you have a Yitziyah of Shesh, you have a Yitziyah of Shesh. That's by Mocher Bezdin. But by Mocher Azmo, if you don't learn Socher, then you don't have a Yitziyah of Shesh. So then you're going to make it for whatever you want to. You're creating the Chetz of Mammon Eved Ivri for 10 years.